You are 19 years old. You signed up because the poster in town said your country needed you, because your friends were going, because your brother signed up the week before, because standing on that street corner and not signing up felt like something you couldn't do. Nobody told you what you were actually signing up for. Training lasted 6 weeks. 6 weeks to prepare you for the most industrialized killing the world had ever seen. You learned to fire a rifle. You learned to march. You learned a handful of commands you'd immediately forget under pressure. Then they put you on a boat to France. The men who trained you had never seen a trench either. You hear it before you see it, a low, constant rumbling from the east like a thunderstorm that doesn't stop. Then you smell it, mud, rotting wood, and something underneath both of those that you don't want to identify. The closer you get, the louder it becomes. By the time you reach the front, the ground itself is shaking. Your first trench is nothing like what you imagined. It is a narrow ditch roughly 7 feet deep and 3 feet wide. The walls are held together with wooden planks and sandbags. The floor is covered in duckboards, wooden slats laid over the mud so you don't sink, except half of them are broken. Water sits at the bottom of everything. In winter, that water is several inches deep and just above freezing. Your boots are never dry again. Nobody prepared you for the rats. They are the size of cats. They are everywhere. They eat anything that doesn't move fast enough, and some things that do. You learn to sleep with your food tucked inside your coat. You learn not to think too hard about what they've been feeding on. Then there's trench foot. After days of standing in cold water with no way to dry your boots, your feet start to change. First numbness, then swelling, then the skin begins to break down. In severe cases, the foot has to come off. Thousands of men lost limbs without a single bullet touching them. Your daily routine looks like this. Every morning before dawn, the entire trench stands to. Every man up on the fire step, rifle ready, watching no man's land. This is when attacks happen. You stand there in the dark for an hour. Usually nothing comes. Then stand down. Then tea and hardtack biscuits so hard they have cracked teeth. After that, you work, digging, filling sandbags, fixing boards that collapsed overnight, carrying ammunition and rations from the supply line. You are not fighting most of the day. You are doing hard manual labor in a ditch. Boredom is its own slow damage. At night, the snipers come alive. You learn very quickly not to light a match in the open. A cigarette glow is enough. One light, one dead man. You learn to move in the dark without thinking. You learn which parts of the trench have gaps in the parapet. You memorize them the way you once memorized streets back home. The rifle you carry is a Lee Enfield. A well-trained soldier could fire 15 aimed rounds per minute. You are expected to be a well-trained soldier, but the rifle becomes almost irrelevant compared to what is being fired at you. 70% of all casualties in the First World War were caused by artillery, not bullets, shells. Massive industrial shells fired from guns several miles away by men who would never see your face. There is no fighting back against artillery. There is no skill that saves you. You get low, you get small, and you wait for it to stop. The machine gun rewrote the rules of warfare almost overnight. 4 men with one machine gun could stop a charge of 1,000. Military commanders took years to truly accept this. The soldiers understood it on the first day. What most people don't realize is how long the war was mostly nothing. You spent around 15% of the war in the front line trench. The rest was reserve lines, rest billets, work details behind the front. Some units barely saw direct combat. Others were destroyed, rebuilt, and destroyed again. Survival had more to do with which unit you were in and when you were sent forward than almost anything else, which made the waiting worse, because you knew it was coming. What soldiers feared more than bullets, more than shells, more than the machine guns, was something you couldn't see until it was already rolling toward you. Gas. Chlorine first, then phosgene, then mustard gas, each one worse than the last. The first gas attack in 1915 caught men completely unprepared. They watched a yellow-green cloud drift slowly across no man's land and had no idea what it was. Within minutes, men were on the ground, drowning in their own lungs. After that, everyone had a mask, but getting the mask on in time was the difference between living and not. Mustard gas didn't kill you immediately. It soaked into your clothes, your skin, your eyes. Men went blind, some permanently. Blisters covered their bodies from the inside out. The gas alarm was a shell casing hung on wire that you hit with a stick. That sound, hollow, metallic, frantic, became one of the most feared sounds in the war. Then there were the days when someone blew a whistle, and you climbed out, over the top, into no man's land, into the open ground between your trench and theirs, covered in mud, barbed wire, shell craters, and men who didn't make it back the last time. You were told the artillery barrage before the attack would clear the wire, would destroy the machine gun nests, would prepare the way. It usually didn't. The first day of the Battle of the Somme was the 1st of July, 1916. 60,000 British casualties. In one day. That is not a typo, not a misprint. one day. Some men came back from the front line and couldn't stop shaking, couldn't speak, couldn't eat, couldn't close their eyes without seeing it. They jumped at sounds that weren't there. They woke up back in the trench. They stopped being able to function in any recognizable way. Doctors called it shell shock. Nobody really understood what it was. Some commanders called it cowardice. Several men were executed by their own army for it, shot at dawn for the crime of falling apart under conditions that would break almost anyone. We now call it post-traumatic stress disorder. What these men experienced was real, physical damage to the mind, caused by sustained terror, concussive blast, and loss beyond anything a human nervous system was built to absorb. They were not weak, they were not cowards. They had simply reached the limit of what a person can endure. Over 9 million soldiers died in the First World War. 21 million were wounded. An entire generation of young men, from Britain, France, Germany, Russia, the Ottoman Empire, and beyond, fed into a machine that took 4 years to stop. You are 19 years old. You signed up because the poster said your country needed you. You've been in France for 14 months. You haven't been dry in 3 weeks. 2 men you knew by name didn't come back from last night's patrol. The rumbling from the east is getting louder again. This is what it was